Welcome. Today we're going deep on an algorithm that quietly runs the world's routing, blending, and scheduling engines, the Simplex Method. Over the next 15 to 20 minutes, we'll move from the geometric intuition behind linear programming through the Tableau and revised Simplex algorithms into the real production trade-offs against interior point methods. And we'll close with a real branch and price case study from airline crew scheduling. By the end, you'll be able to reason about warm starts, degeneracy, and when to reach for simplex versus a barrier method. Here's a fact worth sitting with. Nearly every commercial mixed integer solver, Cplex, Gurobi, Express, still defaults to dual simplex for node reoptimization inside branch and bound, decades after Danzig's original 1947 formulation. So let's start with why this almost 80-year-old algorithm hasn't been fully displaced by more modern polynomial time alternatives. A linear program, an LP, maximizes or minimizes a linear objective, subject to linear equality and inequality constraints. That sounds abstract, but LP relaxations run inside routing, blending, portfolio, and crew scheduling systems, often millions of times a day. In most real optimization stacks, the LP solve is the innermost loop of a much larger combinatorial problem. Since 1947, the Simplex method has answered a deceptively simple question. Given a convex feasible region carved out of hyperplanes, which vertex maximizes the objective? And how do we walk there without ever losing feasibility? Here's the tension worth flagging up front. Clean Minty constructions prove that in the worst case, Simplex can visit an exponential number of vertices. And yet on real, sparse, structured LPs, it routinely reaches optimality in a low multiple of the constraint count. That gap between theory and practice is exactly why Simplex, not a polynomial time interior point method, remains the default engine inside branch and bound solvers. Keep that tension in mind. We'll come back to it. Let's build the one mental model that unlocks everything else in this talk. The optimum always lives at a vertex. Here's why. Every linear constraint defines a half space. The intersection of all those half spaces is a convex polytope. Picture a multi-sided gemstone. Because our objective is linear, its level sets are parallel hyperplanes sweeping across that polytope like a wave. And because that sweep is linear, the very last point it touches is always a corner. Never an interior point and never the middle of an edge, except in degenerate ties. Algebraically, we call that corner a basic feasible solution, or BFS. It's just the formal name for a vertex. Exactly the number of variables minus the number of constraints get set to 0. And Simplex's entire strategy follows from this. Start at one vertex and hop along the edges of the polytope to adjacent vertices that strictly improve the objective, stopping the moment no neighboring vertex is better. On screen, you can see that path traced in coral, starting from one corner of the feasible region and walking edge by edge toward the optimal vertex, while the dashed gold lines show the objective sweeping across in parallel. Now let's formalize that walk as an algorithm, the Simplex Tableau. Step 1. Get the problem into standard form. Every inequality becomes an equality by introducing a slack variable, so we end up with ax equals b, x greater than or equal to 0. Step 2. The all-slack basis gives us a trivial starting vertex, at the origin when that's feasible. Step 3. We compute reduced costs. These measure how the objective would change per unit increase of each non-basic variable, using the current basis inverse. Step 4, the entering variable rule. Danzig's rule picks whichever variable has the most negative reduced cost. That's the direction of steepest immediate improvement. Step 5, the ratio test. We ask how far we can move in that direction before some basic variable hits 0, and whichever variable hits 0 first is the one that leaves the basis. Step 6, a Gauss-Jordan pivot updates the tableau. Then we loop, back to reduced costs, until every reduced cost is non-negative. At that point, we've certified optimality. You'll notice the loop back arrow on screen. If we're not yet optimal, we re-pivot and go again. In practice, the full tableau is rarely used in production because it recomputes the whole matrix on every single pivot. It's the right teaching tool, though, before we look at how a real implementation handles this more efficiently. Let's move from algorithm to code. This is a working revised simplex core in Python. The key idea behind revised simplex is that we never store the full tableau. Instead, we maintain only B inverse, the inverse of the current basis matrix. From that, we compute the simplex multipliers, y equals C sub B times B inverse, which lets us get reduced costs for every non-basic column without ever touching the full constraint matrix A on each iteration. Notice the entering variable selection on line 8 and 9. We're using Bland's rule here. Always pick the lowest indexed eligible variable. It trades a bit of speed for an ironclad guarantee against cycling, which we'll unpack in a few slides. The ratio test and the unbounded direction check mirror the tableau method exactly, just expressed through B inverse times A at the entering column. And critically, look at line 18. B inverse gets updated through an eta, an elementary transformation, rather than a full reinversion. That's the difference between an order m squared update and an order m cubed one. And it's exactly the pattern that coin or CLP and commercial solvers use under the hood. Naive full reinversion on every pivot is, in my experience, the single most common performance bug in hand-rolled simplex implementations. So when should you actually reach for simplex? And when should you reach for something else? On the left, revised simplex. It gives exact vertex solutions, and it warm starts almost for free after you add a cut or a branch and bound. That's precisely why dual simplex dominates inside branch and bound. It can re-optimize in a handful of pivots. The downside? Worst-case exponential pivot counts, and degenerate problems risk stalling without anti-cycling safeguards. On the right, interior point, or barrier methods. They carry a polynomial time worst-case bound, which makes them predictable on huge, dense problems. Think 10 to the 5th up to 10 to the 7th variables. And their core linear algebra, Cholesky factorization, parallelizes beautifully. But they approach the optimum asymptotically rather than landing exactly on a vertex, which means you often need a crossover step, and they don't warm start cheaply after a small model edit. In practice, most production solvers use interior point for the very first root-level LP relaxation on huge models, and then switch to dual simplex for every subsequent branch and bound node, getting the best of both worlds. Let's ground all of this in a real production pattern: airline crew scheduling. Crew pairing is a classic large-scale set partitioning problem. Assign legal, cost-minimal crew rounds to cover every single flight leg. Solved directly, it's combinatorially intractable. But solved as a sequence of LP relaxations wrapped in branch and price, it becomes tractable. Here's the loop on screen. At each branch and bound node, we solve the LP relaxation with simplex, price in new candidate columns or cutting planes, check whether an improving column was found, and if the model needs it, branch on a fractional variable. Then, and this is the important part, we loop back and re-optimize, using dual simplex from the prior optimal basis. That warm start is the single biggest reason simplex remains embedded in these solvers rather than being displaced by something with a nicer worst-case bound. A single crew scheduling run for a mid-size airline can involve thousands of these LP resolves across the branch and price tree, often converging in fewer than 10 pivots per resolve at roughly order m squared cost each, thanks to the eta update pattern we saw in the code a few slides back. Before we wrap up, let's talk about the sharp edges, because production simplex and textbook simplex diverge exactly here. A degenerate basic feasible solution has a basic variable sitting at 0. That's common in real models with redundant or near-redundant constraints. And naive pivoting can cycle through a sequence of these degenerate bases forever, never actually improving the objective. 4 tactics guard against that. Bland's rule, always choose the lowest indexed eligible variable, guarantees finite termination, usually kept as a fallback rather than the default, since it trades away some speed. Lexicographic perturbation avoids ties in the ratio test altogether by infinitesimally perturbing the right-hand side. Steepest edge pricing picks the entering variable by true geometric improvement per step, not just the most negative reduced cost, which tends to converge in fewer, better pivots. And pre-solve plus a crash basis strip out redundant rows and start much closer to a good vertex before the first real pivot even happens. Commercial solvers layer several of these together and switch between them adaptively. There's no single best rule across every problem structure, which is exactly why benchmarking against your own problem class matters. Let's consolidate everything into 5 heuristics you can apply directly. 1. Vertices are the search space. Design any custom pivoting logic around basic feasible solutions. That's the entire geometric structure Simplex exploits. 2. Prefer revised Simplex over the full Tableau. Maintain B-inverse through ADA updates and never refactor the whole basis matrix on every pivot in production code. 3. Warm starts are the real advantage. Dual Simplex's fast reoptimization, not raw single-solve speed, is what makes it dominant inside branch and bound. 4. Always guard against cycling. Ship Bland's rule or lexicographic perturbation as a fallback, because degenerate real-world LPs are common, not rare. And 5. Interior point isn't a replacement for Simplex, it's a complement. Reach for it on massive, dense, one-shot solves and keep Simplex for iterative, warm-started, exact vertex workloads. If you want to go deeper, here's where to start. Danzig's original paper gives you the historical grounding. Bland's 1977 paper is the direct source for the anti-cycling rule we covered earlier. Vanderbay's textbook is the standard modern graduate reference with full revised Simplex derivations. And for production-grade code to read alongside the theory, look at Coin-OR CLP and Google's OR Tools GLOP solver. Both are well-documented open-source implementations. Full module breakdowns and code labs that extend everything in this talk are available through the SystemDR course linked on screen. One more piece worth covering. What happens when there's no obvious starting basis at all? The all-slack basis only gives you a free starting vertex when every constraint is less than or equal to. Rows that are greater than or equal to, or strict equalities, have no slack to seed a basis with. That's where artificial variables come in. The two-phase method handles this in, well, 2 phases. Phase 1 adds artificial variables and minimizes their sum until it hits 0, proving feasibility, or proves the LP infeasible if it can't. Phase 2 then drops those artificials, restores the real objective, and resumes ordinary pivoting from that feasible basis. It's numerically robust because it never mixes a huge penalty constant into the objective's natural scale. The Big M method takes a shortcut. Fold a single huge penalty constant, m, directly into the original objective and solve in one pass. It's simpler to implement, but that constant has to be tuned large enough to dominate without causing floating point overflow or ill conditioning, which is exactly why production solvers favor two-phase. It sidesteps the need to tune an arbitrary constant per problem instance. Most commercial solvers actually skip explicit artificial variables for easy cases, using pre-solve and crash basis heuristics to find a feasible starting point directly. Two-phase remains the fallback whenever that heuristic doesn't get there on its own. That's the full arc, from a vertex on a polytope to a production-grade revised Simplex implementation, to how it behaves inside real branch and price systems at scale. I'd love to open it up for questions, whether it's the geometric mental model, Tableau versus revised Simplex, feasibility bootstrapping, degeneracy safeguards, or the Simplex versus interior point decision for your own workloads. All of it is fair game. And if it's useful, I'll ask directly, what does your current LP or MIP solve look like today? And where might warm starting help? Thanks for your time. My contact details are on screen if you'd like to follow up.